Hey guys, I'm back with a new video. In this video, let us learn about positioning elements using CSS. So let us first create a new folder inside the CSS folder and name it as 3.positioning. And inside this new folder, let us create a new file and name it as positioning.html. Let us also define a styles.css for it, styles.css. So right here, let us quickly scaffold our basic HTML boilerplate. So write exclamation mark and press tab. So this gives us the basic code to begin with, positioning elements. Now let us add a link to our styles.css file right here, styles.css. Now right here, let us define a div with the class of container, and inside this div, let us add 3 divs, each with a class of content. So now let us define a few styles inside the styles.css file. So for the div with the class of container, let us add a border of 3 pixel solid maroon. So border 3 pixel solid maroon. Next, let us target each of our divs with the class of content and give each box a width of 100 pixels and a height of 100 pixel as well. So this is what we get. So you can see we are getting a rectangular boundary spanning over the entire page. Now let us give 3 different colors to each of our boxes. So for this, let us add a separate class for each of our boxes. So 1, 2 and 3. And now let us assign a background color to each of the 3 boxes. So in styles.css for the first box, let us set the background color to green. For the second box, let us set the background color to red, and for the third one, let us set the background color to blue. So let us set the position for the third box. Here we have few values like absolute, fixed, relative, static and so on. Now by default, position of all elements is static, which means that they are positioned to different places and they are just in their normal position by default. Now if we want to position the third box, let us change it to relative, so we can position this element relative to its normal position. So here let us say position relative. So now we can make use of the left CSS property and give it a value to shift it to the right by some value. So let us shift it to right by 20 pixels. So left and set this to 20 pixels. So you can see our third box has shifted slightly to the right by 20 pixels. So with relative positioning, we can move an element relative to its original position, and this doesn't affect other elements on the page. Contrary to this, we have the absolute positioning. So with absolute positioning, we can position an element relative to its container. Let us see how we can do this. So first, let us go to our CSS rule pertaining to the div with the class of container and set the position property to relative. So if we want to position our blue box relative to its container, the container must be positioned relative. Now let us go to our blue box that has the class of 3, and instead of position relative, let us set it to absolute and set the bottom to 0 and right to 0. Now you can see our blue box is positioned relative to its container. It is at the bottom right corner of this container. Now sometimes there are cases when we want to position our elements relative to the viewport. So for example, if we want to have a navigation bar that always stays at the top. So let us go to the second box now, and for the second box, let us set the position to fixed and then set the top CSS property to 0. So from top, we want 0 pixels. So on giving this a preview, you can see that with position fixed, the red box is outside of our container because it is now getting positioned relative to its viewport and not relative to the container. Okay, so this element will always stay at the top of the page now. So this was all I wanted to cover about positioning in CSS. If you liked the video, do give it a thumbs up or comment down below if you have any query. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the very next one.